and I'm posting. I'm going to try to start it now, and hopefully it won't freeze this time. So anyway, I apologize for the delay, but this is how it goes.
That was exciting.
It's always exciting with Dan.
Why can't I hear anybody? Oh, because it's muted.
It was quiet for a second for me too. But I hear you now, Oleg.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's just
We basically.
Bad news from some relatives, so sorry.
I am willing to bet that the New York Hurl is seriously overtaxing somebody's server somewhere.
Should I dump the first part and start over?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Because I mean, I'll just reference. Okay.
No, start over. We can
Let's just do it
take two
again.
on all of it.
That way I can revise my classic answer.
Yeah, he was there. It was a hangout. Next. All right, hang on. I'm going to start over, and I'll just reference it that we're going to do it. Bam. Hello and welcome to Google Plus Week. I'm Dan McDermott. This is our unofficial look at the world's coolest social network. Joining me is a Google Hangout, and I want to welcome you guys to the show. We've got Jeffrey Powers, who's been here a couple of times before. Always welcome. We have Alan Prisoner Furstenberg from New York, where they're having a big hangout, apparently, big to do, and we'll hear from Harold about how that's going. And Oleg in Kirkland, Washington is with us. Oleg, I understand you have some breaking news to. I've been picking on him all day. He said, "I got a couple announcements I want to make," and I said, shocking."
It's
big
not
stuff.
breaking,
CNN's bugging me on the phone about this. What's the deal, Oleg?
No, it's not. It's nothing earth-shattering. I mentioned it's nothing. No huge deals. Basically, two things. Number one is just like more tips than anything else. Is I'm gonna start doing. I just tried doing it the other night. It worked pretty well. So I'm gonna start doing these things. Set up a page for it. When listening to music, I think what would be really cool is to, since we all have ability to listen with other people and watch on YouTube, I thought it would be really cool is to have somebody who, let's say, I like jazz rock, for example. So I started playing videos of jazz rock and have people come in to listen with me on stuff that I'm playing. So it's almost like I'm being a DJ. And so I'm playing, various things that I select from YouTube, and then the people in the Hangout get to listen at the same time. If somebody wants to ask a question or whatever, they can. But the idea being that it's almost like walking into a concert. So like I'm, for example, I wouldn't call myself an expert on the subject, but I know quite a bit about this particular type of music. So that's what I will do these Hangouts on, and then other people can participate and listen. And so other people can do the same kind of deal, where, for example, somebody is into classical violin. So they start up this Hangout and they play various YouTube videos they chose with classical violin, and other people can just come in. It's like coming into a concert. So that's one thing.
Are you going to have a rights issue with the Hangout on air?
Shouldn't have any. What do you mean rights issue? I mean,
a copyright issue of some sort?
It's not going to be Hangout on air, because in Hangout on air you can't do YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's going to be regular Hangouts, and so there's not going to be any recording or anything. But I'm assuming I'm not going to have any issues with copyrights, because Google allows you in Hangout to do a YouTube video with somebody else.
Are you going to have an issue with your camera focus?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to have an issue with your camera focus?
They're not going to be looking at me, so it shouldn't be an issue with that, since it's going to be YouTube.
You're horribly out of focus. I don't know if it's a lighting issue or
what.
Well,
it's basically this way. People cannot really take me to court with these announcements if somebody decides to. I didn't really make these announcements. I don't know what the deal is. Lighting issue.
So
anyway, so that was. I thought it was a cool use of YouTube. Instead of just playing something, you could actually do like a.
That's much better.
Concert.
Yeah.
We like our Oleg in crisp, sharp focus.
Right. So anyway, so
okay.
that was one thing.
So Oleg, what did you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had another one.
The second one was that had to do with my classes, and what I decided to do was that I'm going to be recording the class. The problem I had, and the reason I'm making an announcement is because I figured other people might have a similar kind of problem, and so maybe they'll like my approach, or at least it'll be useful or whatever. But I was thinking that when I do my classes, a lot of times what happens is people show up at different times, for those that do show up actually. And so it's very difficult to do a class, because you say I'm going to start at 6 o'clock. You don't have anybody there at 6 o'clock, or you have one person at 6 o'clock. Then at 6:15 somebody else chimes in. And 6:25 somebody else. So you can't, the way I was trying to do it, I can see that you cannot really do a real class unless people show up at the same time so they can actually go through the whole thing with you. And so what I decided to do was I'm going to do the Hangouts on air, and I'm going to set it up so I'm going to record the classes. I'm going to do the class regardless whether there are any people or not, no people. And then I'm going to set it up so anybody who shows, I don't want to just give those classes away for free, but I will to people who participate. So my thinking is this, that I'm starting a class at a certain time. I'm conducting a class from beginning to end regardless of if anybody shows up or not. And of course the class is being recorded. Anybody who comes to the class even for a few minutes to ask a question or participate in any way will get the share at the end of the class of that entire class. And that way I can actually cover all the topics in the class, go from beginning to end. People who were interested would still get the benefit of having the full class. And of course those who didn't, then they get nothing.
Okay. That's cool. That's exciting. That's innovative. I mean, it's not like the President of the United States in a Hangout or something, but it's pretty cool.
No. It's just I think it might be useful for other people who are considering doing similar kind of things, where you cannot have everybody participate at the same time, but you don't want to just give the content away,
right,
as is. So that's how it would work. I mean, for people who show interest in the deal, they will get it. And I'm also planning to do classes for companies, which those they will have to pay for. So.
Okay, cool. All right, that's good. So check him out, and he'll have updates. What's your page called again?
It's Productive Computer Systems, PCS. You can find me and just look at my profile. There's postings there and stuff.
Okay, cool. Alan, what was the deal with that? You guys have been, Oleg, you two have been picking on each other about this picture you did. What was the story behind that? Your controversial photograph. Who was the photo of?
Me.
Describe it and your motive.
The photos part. One of the things that's highly popular on Google Plus are these photo themes that periodically take place. And one of the recurring photo themes that takes place every 2 weeks or so is something called Selfie Sunday. In it, the photographers are required to take a picture of themselves that is generated by themselves. So in some way, they need to take a picture of themselves. Usually, there is no theme attached. Every so often, once a month or so, they have a very broad theme. And the theme behind this one was called Blurring the Lines. So people posted various photos of themselves that blurred things in some way. And Oleg is now very courteously showing the picture.
Well, because otherwise the people don't know what we're talking about here.
I'm totally not going to go to that shot.
The picture was a picture of myself where I blurred myself out completely. It's not possible to identify that it's me or any part of me. And that was part of what the photo was intended to create.
And it was, okay, so it was a picture of you in the shower.
It was a picture of me in the shower.
Promoting good hygiene, which is something we like to do on Google Plus Week.
But the point being is that the photo of the portion of me was completely blurred out. There's nothing you can distinguish of it as me, or in fact, that it's of anybody, while the rest of the scene was perfectly sharp.
You know, MG Siegler's jealous, right? You know, MG Siegler's very jealous.
No, I have no idea why Oleg had issues with the picture or continues to bring up the issue.
No. First of all,
for ratings. For
the record, this was started by Dan. Notice I didn't say anything until Dan started the topic. So let's just get that out of the way. Second thing, I really like the blue light on the right side and the kind of greenish tint on the left. Altogether, it's a very nice color combination. So that's why I'm showing the picture to show it kind of works well together. That's all.
Okay. All right. So I think we've pretty much exhausted this. Let's flush this topic down the drain, shall we?
Not to mention burning my eyes out.
Yeah, I know. But you know, it's nature, right? All right. So we learned that Google Plus has surpassed 100 million members this week, and earlier, Alan, I'll just let folks know we had a Hangout crash as soon as I clicked the on-air thing to broadcast the Hangout publicly. It crashed, and so I started over again. But if you look at the original Hangout video, which I will link to in the description on the show, you can catch the beginning. But the President of the United States had a Hangout. I think, you know...
Actually, Dan, one second. Before we get into that, let's just finish up on the picture. One thing I wanted to bring up is that people need to, when they do stuff on Google+, there's obviously some people who are sarcastic, some people who make jokes. You know, some of the little deals I did at Alan obviously were directed towards Alan, nothing malicious. And you had just several people just became like bark dogs, like they're personal Alan's, you know, defenders, and jumping into like I'm abusing a holy artwork and I shouldn't be saying this stuff and what's wrong with me, and they're defending their fellow artists, and you know, that kind of deal. And it's just and I understand. Initially I understood. I said, okay, if that's the case, I'm going to explain what I did. I said it's an inside joke. I was just putting some stuff out to Alan personally. I realize it's a public deal. I realize other people will read, so that's why I'm explaining what I did. It's an inside deal. Nothing that anybody should be alarmed about. Nobody's you know, disrespecting Alan openly or abusing him in any way, shape, or form, or anything like that. And if that was the case, I said Alan is not a 2-year-old who can't defend himself. I'm sure he can take care of his own replies. But these people, you should have read some of these comments, just totally just got on, especially this one guy. The guy just wouldn't quit. It was just amazing that some people just jump in this, you know, the topic that it was on a non-topic basically, and just wanted to tear my throat out for making some of these comments, you know, and Alan. And the funny thing was that Alan himself did not reply. He didn't say that this is, you know, BS, or he's offended, or I shouldn't say, or anything, and we should have been totally fine. I mean, obviously comments were, you know, directed to him. But these other people is just like, you know, get a life, people. You know, see what you're commenting about, get some causes, you know, you all jumped up and down about SOPA, great, you know, do something like that. But don't get into these kind of deals where people just got just like this guy you and I talk about the Barnes & Noble and Amazon deal. The guy got completely just totally, first of all, he doesn't understand the topic, clearly. And second of all, the guy just totally got out of hand in terms of talking about it. You know, it's one thing.
Well, we'll get to that. You got called a troll, and I thought it was pretty funny. You're not a troll.
I'll point out that you're the one that keeps going on about it right now.
No, I know, Alan. But do you agree that these people just went back and forth and back and forth?
Well, let's let people read the post and look at that. I don't want to get too inside and anyway, lose our you know, viewers and listeners. And we're doing an audio podcast version of the show now. Speaking of podcasts, as I throw it back to Jeffrey, what's the best website to catch your stuff?
The internet. www.geekazine.com. I also have I have three shows on geekazine.com. The Geek Smack, which is my weekly tech news and geek news site. Then I got iPad 365, which is an iPad app a day for 365 days. Today we talked about bacon, so anybody interested in bacon, you should probably check that out. And of course, we also talked about iPad 3 rumors because that was big 24 hours ago. And then the special media feed, we went out to Consumer Electronics Show. We captured about 250 videos. Those are slowly coming up on the site. You can check that out over there. Then, of course, I have the Day in Tech History, which is a daily rundown of technology history, 365 days a year.
I want to ask you about the presidential hangout, but real quick, you're an Apple guy, right? I mean, you have Apple products and like them, et cetera.
I'm an IT person. I've had a lot of boxes. I do have Apple devices, but I'm talking to you on my PC.
Okay, so what do you think about the whole? I don't want to get too long into this, but this is in the news. The whole Foxconn controversy. You know, 50 cents an hour over there, and the suicide nets, the whole deal, so everyone can get their iPhones and iPads. But really, we're kind of singling out Apple because you go into Walmart, you know, try to find the American-made product, right? What do you think? Do you think that there'll be a change, or do you think it's a temporary issue, or what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, President, and I don't mean to get on this political soapbox, but it's been a very, very deep subject, sore subject, I think. If you watch the State of the Union, he popped Steve Jobs simply because of the fact he knows he's going to get more votes because he says Steve Jobs. But I don't know if you watched what happened, and Apple also can say, well, we also put out our Q2 results that day, but there was a $25 a share increase in the next day in Apple stock. And I really think that it was the fact that part of it was the Q2 earnings, but the other part was the fact of the State of the Union address, and just the fact that he said that, and then he turned around and said, well, jobs in the United States are very important, and we should have jobs. We should be chastising those who take jobs outside the United States. And it was Steve Jobs that basically said there are no good U.S. workers in the United States. So when it comes to something like Foxconn, where they're making $17 a day and they've got a little domicile that they get to live in, and the conditions are horrible, and there's a whole bunch of people that commit suicide because of their jobs, I sit there and wonder why a president decided to call them out. Are they calling out Apple to say, hey, come back to the United States, be a part of the United States? Or is he calling them out just because he needs to get that type of recognition and pop?
Well, I think he's calling them out because that'll get the attention. You know, with all of the people who are using Apple products, when it used to be a source of pride within Apple that their products were designed and produced inside the United States, when the president can say, hey, you know, can use it to call attention to a broader problem or a broader issue. I think that's why he picked on Apple. I mean, lots of people have since come out and said, hey, you know, practically every smartphone that we use is made in the exact same plant for the exact same reasons. You know, picking on Apple is excessive. He wasn't doing it specifically to pick on Apple. He was using it to make a point.
It's weird. It's like with Steve Jobs. I mean, he was such a creative genius. And you can go on and on about that, and I don't want to do that. But he was so smart and so creative, such a great designer, and resurrected this company, not single-handedly, but he was probably, but for him, it would have probably gone under. So you can argue it either way. But at the same time, he was abrasive and mean to people, but he pushed them, and a lot of them will say, that they were, abused or whatever, but it was the best thing that ever happened to them. And it isn't any different. It's just they're kind of singled out because they're so big and so successful. Jeffrey, I would say that on your comment about the share price, I mean, Walmart, I saw a piece from M.G. Siegler, and then I crunched some numbers. I think Amazon.com is made $177 million on something like $17 billion in revenue or whatever. But basically, they made 1% profit. Walmart made about 3% profit, and Apple made something like 23 or 28% profit, which is just crazy, ungodly successful. You can argue that if they weren't paying 50 cents an hour to people in these sweatshops in China living in dorms with suicide netting around them, that they wouldn't be as successful. But do you think at all it's a bum rap? Oleg, do you think it's a bum rap? Because really, I went to JCPenney and I bought some jeans, American something brand, and I looked and it said inspired by American tradition or whatever, and you know what that means? Made in China, right? Or somewhere, Latin America somewhere, and they got American flag everywhere. But is it a bum rap or fair?
It's hard to say. On the one hand, Jobs was the one who told Obama he would be one-term president. So there's some of that stuff in there to some degree. Then there's the fact, like Alan said, that the Apple is such a successful company right now that they're an easy target to pick for whatever, especially when you have this most successful company, and at the same time you have the situation with all these people committing suicide and so on and so forth. Does this, and it just sounds to me that, if people dug a little bit deeper, whether other companies are involved or not, it has nothing to do with this particular thing. We're talking about Apple here, and this is the company, and these suicides happen in this company that makes Apple products, and we do know that Steve Jobs was for pushing people to get things done, regardless of consequences, basically. Just the way he basically conducted business. So I think there is something there that certainly should be looked at, and Apple should do something considering how much money they make. Not that I fault them for making a lot of money, but certainly should be, they could do something to make conditions, at least in the plans that they use for iPhone stuff, better considering how much money they're making. And they're not doing that. Just like today, for example, there was an announcement from Steve Cook that they donated whatever it was, $100 million or $10 million, something I remember, some X number of $1 million to charity, something that Steve Jobs would never do. And it was specifically pointed out that Tim Cook made the decision to donate a bunch of money, but Steve Jobs would not do something like that. And it certainly doesn't look positive towards Steve Jobs or towards Apple that this kind of stuff going on, regardless of whether other companies are involved or not in the same kind of situation. Certainly, it's bad for Apple, I think.
Harold, what do you think?
Well, one of the things we have to ask ourselves is, are we willing to pay double the price for an iPhone or an iPad? Because that's exactly what it would cost to produce it in the United States. It would be absolutely double the cost. And like I said, and about Steve Jobs, the reason he doesn't give to charities is because the company was going under when he took it over. And he said, we're going to stop all the charity giving until we become profitable. And then they did become profitable. So he's a really good businessman, and I think that was a good idea at the time.
Well, people say he's a good businessman, but also Apple almost went out of business, when he ran it initially. So it's neither here or there. No question that his concepts with iPod and then iPad and iPhone were certainly something that were very positive and did a lot of good and did a lot of success. I shouldn't say a lot of good; it just was successful for the company. But if you look at prior Apple deal when they started Apple, that sure wasn't anything that incredible in terms of his business astuteness, I should say. Because what happened? I mean, Apple II didn't go anywhere. Initial Mac didn't go anywhere, and it's still nowhere compared to how PCs went out. So the deal with the business savvy. I don't know how much business savvy. I mean, it's almost like there was some business. I mean, look at Next. He certainly didn't do anything with Next. If he was so astute in business, what happened with Next? It was a phenomenal machine, incredible machine, okay? And it didn't go anywhere. So it's debatable how good a businessman he was. I'm simply saying that
it went somewhere and that it evolved into Apple because that was part of the deal. Technology did.
I'm going to point you back to 1985. It was the year after the Super Bowl ad and Macintosh just came out. There was a big to-do inside Apple. And they basically called it the pirates versus the business class. And Steve Jobs led the pirate revolution. And I think that's basically what it was the pirate revolution. I've got this product. This product's going to be hot, and it's going to go, and it's just going to go because it's so good and it's so hot. So I'm gonna put it out. I'm gonna put out Next, and then Next, and then we're gonna take Next and we're gonna put it into Apple, and then Apple's gonna come out, and then all of a sudden we're gonna get into the music area, and we're gonna get an iPad, and then we're gonna get an iPhone or iPod, and then an iPhone, and then an iPad. So the pirate year, I'm calling that area between 1996 and 2011. The pirate years of Apple, because he was the pirate in Apple, and now it's time for Tim Cook to take over. And Tim Cook is the businessman, and his job for the next 5 years is to solidify Apple to get it going until the next big product that Apple can come out with comes out.
Okay. All right. I want to merge because obviously it's Google Plus week, and I don't want to get too in the weeds on the Apple thing, although it's very interesting. But I will say that. We'll see. My prediction is that they'll continue to deal with Foxconn and that they'll announce some big thing about, some plan to help the folks or whatever. But the bottom line is, I mean, what are they paying? Less than $1 an hour over there, and over here they'd have to pay, $15-20 or more.
Don't forget what Obama said. He said that they're going to change the tax structure in such a way, and tariffs and stuff, that they will basically reward companies that do come back to America and appropriately punish, if you will, the companies that don't. And it's only right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So you can't look at prices the way they are now because I think things will change going forward. And if Obama does what he says he does, then it'll be much more expensive, or somewhat more expensive, for people to produce products out, overseas, and it's going to be less expensive in terms of taxes and everything for people who actually bring stuff back or just manufacture things here in the U.S.
But that's absolutely not going to happen for several reasons. One, he'd be punishing every company. Two, it would start a trade war. Three, he has a Republican Congress that absolutely will not pass something like that. So it's just not happening. It's a non-issue. But anyway, okay, let's talk about speaking of the president. Your beloved knight in shining armor, Oleg. He did a hangout, and I don't want to get into politics about the guy, but I think it was extremely cool to have the President of the United States on Google Plus in a hangout that went surprisingly well. It was kind of there were a lot of rumors about it, but about whether it was really a hangout or whatever, and whether it was live or recorded. All these rumors that come up. It absolutely was live. It was a real hangout, but on the feed that they showed, it wasn't the actual hangout video, the hangout on air, because it didn't have an on-air thing, but they clearly mixed it in the White House, and they had similar to what, like if you look at the YouTube or the Justin TV version of this show, I'm in a hangout, but I'm really in front of a chroma key background, and I'm mixing my video in, which is pretty clear, with a hangout video, which is not as clear because it's going over the internet. And so they kind of did the same thing with the White House. And they rehearsed it, and Jennifer Waddell was the person who asked the question, or asked about her, mentioned her husband who was looking for a job, and the president said, "Send me a resume." And Peter McDermott did an interview with her, a couple of them, and apparently they sent a crew out to her house, and she got a free webcam out of it and some lights, and they had a Google employee there. And I think all that makes sense because it clearly is something they want to go well, right? David, mute your mic or turn the speakers down or something, please. But it's important that this went off well, and I thought for Google it was a heck of a coup, didn't you?
It was, yeah, no question.
I think it certainly was. I mean, I think a lot of people, while it was going on, were saying, hey, this isn't real. You don't see the buttons, you don't see this, you don't see that. I think what's most important, though, is anybody who wasn't from Google+, who saw it, got a real taste of what a Hangout is like. Was it a perfect taste? No. But you certainly got the feel. One of the things that Jennifer Waddell said was that they encouraged the participants to have some give and take with the president. To not just ask your question, accept an answer. They said, go ahead, be respectful, be polite. This is the president, but interact with him, talk to him. And they did. Jennifer especially did, and I think that really gave a sense of what a Hangout is like.
Yep.
When she was on later with Peter, one of her comments was, this is just like it. So she immediately got the connection between what the Hangout that she was just in and what a real Hangout on Google Plus is like. And I think that really speaks well to what the Google team did, to what the president did, and to where this technology as a whole is going.
Well,
go ahead, Oleg, and then I want to throw it to David and see what he thought about it.
I just basically, first of all, looking at the whole thing, I think, it's, to some degree, I thought it was a major farce. I mean, nothing more than that.
In what way? How is it a farce?
Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, the whole idea of, the White House being in a hangout was a little bit ridiculous to me, because this is the man who can jump on national TV in a heartbeat anytime he wishes, and he's got millions of people listening to him.
But listening to him versus interacting with him, and they challenged him.
Okay? So in terms of him having a platform, this is nothing mind-shattering for him. I don't really understand what if he's doing a town hall and he's got several hundred people, even that's got several hundred people. Here you're talking about just, basically less than 10 people. So what their motivation for doing this right there, other than a gimmick, I don't really know. It doesn't accomplish anything from that perspective. That was one thing. Second thing, in terms of the answers and the questions, the people were great there. I mean, I like the kids. I like, this Jennifer was the best. I mean, she was just great and stuff, but if you listen to the questions and the answers, some of these things were totally pathetic. I mean, here you got a vet coming out and asking a question that there are a bunch of homeless vets in D.C. particularly, okay? Question, I know you're going to counter my stuff saying, okay, but this is, he can go back and forth. Here was a back and forth situation. It says there are a bunch of vets on the ground, homeless in D.C. What are you going to do about this? Perfect opportunity for interactive back and forth. Obama comes back and says, well, every year I've been the president, we've increased the budget for the Veteran Administration. And I'm sitting listening, I can't believe my ears. And what? What does that accomplish? The guy is just telling you they're sitting there on the ground, homeless. So what good did it do that you increase the budget every year where the results speak for themselves? So basically, this interaction thing.
Look, the whole, okay, look, it was a PR stunt. Hang on, Alan, hang on. It was a PR stunt, okay? It was a PR stunt. But that's okay. It was great for Google, right? Which
let me finish. I'm not done yet.
But listen, that whole thing, like, yeah, he was dodging questions, and he was full of crap on some stuff. Like Michael Mozart's question about the kid who had a website that had links, clearly, obviously promoting copyright stuff and probably a violation of U.S. law. But
that's okay. That's not his department.
That's what he said. He said the question was, why do you personally support the extradition of this kid for hosting a website that merely linked to other sites that were sources of
Which is crazy,
streaming
to
video?
ask him a question like this. It's not
what is the difference between you posting a funny cat picture, Oleg, which you do all the time?
That would be Alan, though. Yeah.
What's the difference between you posting a funny cat picture from funnycat whatever and what Mega Upload did or what this kid did? It's still copyright infringement. I mean, but one's legal.
You cannot expect a president of the United States to deal with minutia like this.
It's not minutia. It was a national story. It's a world story with people all but demonstrating about it.
This kind of stuff.
Do you believe that the president did not have a conversation in between running guns into Mexico with the attorney general about this kid who's being extradited? Do you believe that at no point that ever came up?
Of course they did. I don't have any
doubt. It's nonsense. Come on. I mean, the president, he works for the president. Okay?
Right. But
he's the attorney general. He can fire him, right? And before he does something like that, I'm going to extradite this guy for this. I know there was a conversation, certainly soon afterward, once it hit the media. And for him to blow it off and say, well, I don't make decisions about stuff like that. Give me a break. It's nonsense.
And look at Jennifer's deal. The woman is asking, she says her husband was out of work for 3 years. He is an engineer in semiconductor industry.
It's like he totally blew off the issue. He just said, oh, give your husband a job.
Did you hear the news today?
What, did he get a job?
Panetta decided to make a comment about the fact that Israel is about to attack Iran. So how do you run the United States of America dealing with news like this, and you're telling Jennifer you're going to get a resume so you can get her husband a job? I mean, I just don't get this.
Well, no.
He didn't want to have to address the issue of the H-1B. I may get that wrong. The
H-1B visas.
The H-1B visas, and so he diverted it by getting her a job. Alan,
well, no, he did
dying
two things.
in your chair there. Go ahead.
He did two things, and it's actually important to understand what he said. What he said is, send me your resume so I can take it to the people who are telling me there are no jobs. There are no people who are looking for jobs
in that industry, right?
That's what he said. He basically said, okay, he now basically has a resume where he can go to executives at Texas Instruments and National Semiconductor and say, look, you keep telling me you need these H-1B visas because you can't find anybody.
You're assuming.
Why didn't you hire this guy?
You're assuming that that's what he was told before.
Well, I'm assuming it because that's what these guys say in the national media.
Okay. So then basically, if that's what really is going on, then the question is how poorly informed is he, if that's the case?
Well, no, here's the thing. That's officially what an H-1B visa is supposed to be for. And the reason why Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and probably the top-level executives at Google, too.
Yeah, of course.
The reason why they keep going to Washington and saying we need H-1B visas and we need more of them is because they keep saying officially they can't find the people in the U.S.
Right.
But he's calling their bluff. He's using this information and calling their bluff.
But Alan, you have to agree that this kind of conversation offer shouldn't even be taking place. Like I said, there's other things, much more important things than this than dealing with Jennifer's husband. And so
What's
that's
he
why
supposed to
it comes
do,
out as
Oleg? I mean,
not
he's in the
changed, that's
Hangout.
all.
Oleg, there are
Hangout.
two
What's he
things.
supposed to do?
Oleg,
He's a politician. He's a politician in an election year. What's he supposed to do? Of course, he's going to say like, "Oh, send me the resume," and everyone like,
there
"Oh,
are
he's
two
awesome."
things here.
Well, that's what I'm
great,
saying.
you know?
It's a
there are
Go
two things
Obama.
here. There are two things here. The first thing is that presidents throughout history have said, "Send me your information, and I will take care of it," which means send me your information, and I will have some subordinate take care of it.
Presidents have done this?
Presidents have done this for decades. This is
heard-
nothing new. This is nothing new. The medium is the only thing that might be slightly new about it. But I mean, there are huge mail rooms dedicated to handling letters and complaints and requests from people to the White House. How many telephone operators does the White House have? Purely for this purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
To make your point, my dad sent me a copy of a letter I got from Jimmy Carter's appointment secretary, and when I was 12 years old, invited the president in 1980. I invited him to my home for dinner, and and I got a nice letter back from the White House, from the I forget, deputy appointment secretary or whatever, thanking me for the invitation and assuring me that the president had asked her to let me know that if an opportunity arises for him to come to my home for dinner, that he would, and I didn't even ask my parents. I just wrote a letter, dear Mr. President, wild kid. But so anyway, yeah, there's an entire operation there. Okay, so we all agree that the president's had a wonderful hangout and it was great for Google.
Yes. No, the deal with Google, the interesting thing that later on the news, you definitely heard the word Google Plus being mentioned a number of times. I saw it in Fox News. I saw it on CNN. You listen to some shows like Rush Limbaugh. The Rush made a comment that he was on this stupid Google Plus, and I didn't know why he had to say. Rush is a huge Apple fan, but I don't know why he had to say it's stupid Google Plus. It's ridiculous. But one thing we did find out from the whole thing, I got to tell you this, is that Google Plus is a social network. Okay? This is not disputable now because people said, no, it's not really a social network. It's much more, da-da-da-da. It is a social network because his press secretary, Carney, stated so in his briefing.
Oh, my God. Did you see that post that I did about that? That was hysterical. He was. Trying to explain.
What's the guy's name? Is it Art Carney? Wasn't that the guy's name?
No, Art Carney. Oh, my God. You're from the 70s. Or you're from the 80s Russia, which had 1970s TV. Jake Carney it was funny because the press secretary was attempting to explain, the president will be in a Google Hangout, and then someone's like, what is Google Plus? And then there was laughter, so it was pretty funny. But they all watched, right? And they played it in the press briefing room.
No, but how stupid was the answer, though? That's the thing I'm referring to. That's why I'm saying Art Carney. I know what the guy's name is. Okay? What did the guy say back?
That was a rare dig from Oleg against the Democrats in Washington.
No, it was a rare dig from the honeymooners. But what did the guy reply? Do you remember what he said?
I don't.
He said it's a social network, and if you have any other questions, you better refer them to Google. I mean, that's what the guy said.
Who will promptly return your phone call, as they're known to do.
Right. I just thought it was just ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
Okay, so having lost most of our audience probably. All right, let's see here. I'm going to hold off on Jason's topic because I'm still hoping he shows up. All right, Google Plus updates. Hangout. I don't know. Is this Oleg or Alan on this Hangout post locking and invitees visibility?
Looks like it's Alan. No, I put it in there.
All right, tell me what's the deal with these two things on the Hangout invitees post locking and weekly email recaps. Let us know what's going on about that, Oleg.
Basically, from what I understand, it's minor little changes they made. Is when you share a Hangout and you post about Hangout, it basically automatically becomes locked, so people cannot reshare it. Is my understanding what they did. I don't fully understand the reason for it because you can always lock it yourself, but you can always unlock it. They said, and so that's the locking part. And then the other part was, what was the other part?
Well, let's see. Let me look at what you typed here. Weekly email recaps.
Email recaps.
Oh, yeah. There's an option now in your settings where, in terms of how you can get notified, where you can get these email recaps from, I guess, top posts in your circles is the way it was described. I signed up for it. I haven't received anything yet, so I don't know if that's live or not, but that's an option that they just added. It is there. I saw it there in settings.
I know Linda Laurie has had a problem getting, and some other folks have had a problem getting notifications. Have any of you guys in the room here, are you missing things, like someone will mention you or share something with you and you don't get any notification and you just randomly find it if you happen to be looking down their stream?
Sometimes I look in email and I see something that I don't see notification yet. Alan mentioned something about post disappearing the other day.
Well, like Linda will get, she just straight up won't get any notification, and then she'll find it 3 days later. And Alan, are you seeing anything like that?
Example.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot of people reporting it. What Oleg refers to about my post disappearing, I've got, it was related to some photos and some permission problems, and they're looking into it to see if they can figure out how it got triggered. But it's actually a design feature. My post was supposed to disappear, only I didn't know it. But
maybe they could send a description to the president, and he can deal with it.
Yes.
Or have his staff take care of it with all due haste. All right. Did you just add another one? Originally shared this post, now links to the original post?
Yes, I shared that about 2 hours ago because that's how recently it got rolled out.
Yeah,
oh,
it is rolling out as we speak.
That is banging awesome.
No kidding. Everyone's been looking for this for 7 months.
Oh man, because like if you're trying to find the original, that's great.
What you'll see now is the word post itself is now a link to the original post. Rolling out as we speak. Go ahead and share something, and you'll see it too.
Yeah.
Pop the champagne, baby. This is an exciting development. Geeks rejoice. This is awesome. Yeah, that's cool. All right, so now you can. The problem, of course, is if Oleg puts a funny cat picture up, right?
Why is it Oleg with a funny cat picture? I don't do it. How about Alan puts another picture that's, you know.
I liked him better when he had Jack Daniels before the show, didn't you, Alan? He was nicer then.
Yeah,
I still think he has. You know, he did have Jack Daniels again before this. But you notice we don't have anybody with beer on tonight.
Jeff couldn't make it. All right. So anyway, that's cool. That's an exciting innovation, inspired by millions of complaints. All right. Okay. Did you guys see the what is that? A Sonic soda? Is that a Diet Coke or something? What is it?
Coca-Cola. That was a Sonic soda, and Oleg drinking a Coke.
No,
so he says.
No, it's just a bottle. It's closed. I'm not drinking anything.
I couldn't tell that it was closed.
Has he got a bottle of Jack Daniel? What is it, wine? All right.
It's a Coca-Cola deal, and it's got a cap on it. Do you guys see it?
Yes, I see it now.
I'm impressed. Okay. All right. Oleg has a soda. All right. Now, there were some new tips that have appeared. I think this is a good idea. Jeffrey, did you see this? When if you shut down and log back on, like in the last day or so, it came up with 4 suggestions, like, you know, this is your stream, which shows, you know, stuff, and here are your circles, and I guess that's geared. Have you seen that, first of all?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, if you log out and log back in.
What are you talking about?
There are 4 new tips that show up on Google Plus. If you close Chrome and open it back up, you'll get it one time, and it's 4 tips, and it says it'll say like, this is your stream, and you know, I guess Alan, did you see that in the last day or so? It popped up.
I have seen it. I was asked about it by a number of people first, saying, "Hey, what is this and what's going on?" And I said, "I have no idea." And then I reloaded the page and saw it. It looks like they're starting to try yet again to find some new ways to actually say, hey, yeah, new users, we know about you, and we think you're good, so we'll help you out, and why don't you bring over a couple million more people with you? I think
it's to help the White House press corps, who doesn't know what Google Plus is.
Who doesn't know how to deal with Google. I think this is, you know, yet another attempt of theirs to try to make it easier on the new users. And I think it's more spaghetti they're throwing against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, I've seen so many people who have a post in July or, you know, October or whatever, and nothing since then, and they might come back, and they'll circle me. I looked at some of the folks who have circled me in the last day for this reason. and I look and I see that they haven't had a post in a long time, but I know they're active because they just circled me, right? So maybe this is for those folks who came here, all the people who came here from Facebook and discovered that all their friends weren't on and haven't done anything since. When they eventually come back, as Google, shoves it in your face on their search engine, which I support, but when they come back, it'll help them. So I think it's cool. And I guess they couldn't really figure out who was a power user or who was a newbie, and so they just threw it up for everybody, and then it goes away once you look at it one time. So good for them. Anybody have any comment on this Brad Pitt thing? Apparently there was a thing in Gawker. I know Oleg's a big Brad Pitt fan. Has all the videos.
I'm his fan in movies by what's Madonna's ex-husband's name? Guy Ritchie. He was great in some of his movies. Excellent. He was, seriously. He was very good.
All right, I'm impressed about your knowledge of American movie history.
It's not. He's a British guy. It's not an American movie. So it's a British movie, but.
Okay, so there was some story in Gawker about they were making fun of a Google PR rep's email saying, Brad Pitt's on Google Plus and he's not on Facebook or Twitter, and then the page disappeared. It was verified, and then someone said it was back. So I don't know, is he on or not? Have we determined? I mean, was this because I remember when.
What do you mean you don't know? You can't do a search and see? I mean, it's something like it's some.
No, I mean like throughout the day it's come and gone. Apparently, let me look here. I'm going to do a search because remember when Rupert Murdoch went on Twitter, he had a verified account, and Fox News confirmed that was him, right? So now everyone's enjoying his tweets, his random musings about all sorts of things. Especially Jeff Jarvis, who really loves his Twitter feed. And then you also had his wife, and that was a verified account, but then it turns out that was a fake account. And so Twitter was slightly embarrassed about that. So I'm wondering if the same thing has happened here, or if indeed Brad Pitt, this is, a big deal, of course.
Okay, it comes up with like dozens and dozens of people that all called Brad Pitt, so it's impossible.
I'm not finding a name when you do a name search, but Mike Elgin had a post that apparently links to him, and it says it's a verified account.
Is it still up, though?
The weird thing is...
I mean, I don't know, like I said, it's a link that sorry, it was a name that Mike Elgin posted, and if you follow that link, it does seem to go to Brad Pitt's profile, assuming he does anything with energy-efficient and affordable homes in New Orleans.
There's a guy
the link in our chat area.
Brad Pitt, of course, that's basically what he's known for. Go ahead, Oleg.
There's this Brad Pitt, professional boxer. Speaking of ignoring things, why don't we touch a little bit on the subject you and I talked about ignores? I think that would be useful for people.
Elaborate.
Remember how we talked about using the ignore feature when you get notifications for people who follow you?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really get that. Why you would do that?
Well,
what does ignore mean, first of all?
Ignore means that you're not going to see people who you're ignoring. It's essentially the way Google claims it. It's like saying thanks, but I'm not interested. And essentially, what's going to happen is you're not going to see their posts. They're not going to be in your quote-unquote incoming stream, which is no longer alive. And basically, that's the end of your interaction with them. They can still see your posts, and they can still post if they wanted to post in your comments and things like that, but you basically don't have anything to do with them other than that.
So it's a block light.
It's a block light, right? And what I mentioned before is the way I usually deal with people who circle me is I look through every single account, look at their profile, look at their posts a little bit, and then I determine whether I'm going to circle them or not. And then when I get done with the list, I open them all in separate tabs. I just do ignore all, and so they get eliminated from display, and then the next group of people shows up. But I thought maybe I shouldn't be doing this, and I talked to one Googler, and he said that he doesn't recommend doing the ignore. He didn't say why. He just said probably best to use some other technique. But
you might be missing a lot of stuff, Oleg.
I'm sorry?
You might be missing a lot of stuff. Someone might be.
What? Like what? How would I be missing stuff? If this is a person who is circling me and I don't choose to circle them, so I click on ignore, Why would they be missing anything?
No, not circling them and ignoring them are two different things. Not circling them means that when you circle someone, that means you're putting them into your stream.
Right.
Ignoring means they can't communicate with you. So what if someone...
Sure they can. They can put comments and stuff. They can.
Well, then what does ignore mean?
It just means it's not going to be in the incoming stream, which of course we don't have anymore.
Stream.
That's the main thing, is you won't see them in the incoming stream. Before it was an issue, now it's not an issue because there is no incoming stream anymore. But that's essentially, that's it.
Oh, so they can still mention you and you'll get notified just like...
They can still mention me and I'll still get notified, yeah. And they can still put comments on my posts. They can still read me because they circle me, obviously.
So it's an obsolete feature that applies only to the phone app.
But the beauty of this feature, from my perspective, the way I use it, is when I get a list which is only 10 users. You know, in notifications, you can't have more than 10 users saying they circled you. So example, case in point, the other day I had 47 people that circled me. So I only see 10 of them, okay? And so what I'm saying is I don't know at which point I looked at which ones I looked, which ones I didn't. So what I do is I simply open all of their pages in separate tabs, and then I click on ignore all, so all these 10 disappear from the view. And then the next 10 come up, and I do the same thing, and essentially I whittle it down to nothing. But the beauty of this approach is then when new people really come in, I really see that, you know, so I need to remember which was the last person I looked at if I use this approach.
Why do you click ignore? I still don't get that.
So they disappear from notifications, so I don't need to look at them again.
You're a grouch.
I don't know. To me, it seems to work fine.
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're triggering
well, let's ask people. Let's ask Alan. How do you do it? What do you do when people circle you?
Let's ask David.
No, let's just start going.
What do I care?
Okay, so that's Alan's answer. David?
They circle me, I ignore it. I don't click anything. I see who it is. Sometimes I'll look at them, and otherwise I don't care. I don't have enough time to deal with this.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, David, what do you think? Should Oleg be ignoring everyone who
is that the question?
Compliments him by? So everyone who compliments Oleg by circling him, he will ignore you to repay you for your kindness.
No, that's not true. It depends on your content. But anyway, David, go ahead.
Yeah, I tend to. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't know, when people circle me, I'm typically grateful for it. I figure, you know, I'm pretty careful what I put on my stream, and if somebody circles me, you know, if I don't think they're a spammer or anything, or just trying to, you know, if I think it's because they're actually interested in what I'm posting, then yeah, you know, I'm interested to see, you know, I'm grateful for that. So I don't know, I don't ignore it. I'm not sure. I don't have the problem right now of having too many people circle me that I can't handle it.
Alan, of course, is also very careful with what he puts on his stream, especially his shower cam shots. Jeffrey, what do you think? Do you ignore everyone who follows you?
Let's stick to the topic. Jeffrey, what do you do?
I think we lost Jeffrey.
What do you mean?
Well, when people circle you, do you do anything with them other than looking at them and circling them? Do you do anything else? Do you ever use the ignore option?
I have 19,542 people that follow me. I can't follow them back.
Right. So what do you do then? How do you determine?
I just let them follow me. If they decide to unfollow me, that's fine. If they refollow me, that's fine. I mean, not that I want to make these 19,540 some odd people want to unfollow me all of a sudden, but the reality is I can't follow them. I only have a 5,000 person limit. What I have been doing is, and I was working on this earlier, is I'm calling a Follow Friday circle, where anybody that's replied to something in any of my posts, I throw them in the Follow Friday circle, and they go there for a week, and then that week, at the end that Friday, then the circle gets cleaned out, and I go through all the posts and try to do exactly what they did in Twitter, because it's a proven method to actually boost people and get them involved and get more people to come to your sites. Because in all reality, I want to have more people on my Twitter. I want to have more people on my Google+. I want them to see what I'm doing so they can respond and interact. So if they decide to leave, they decide to leave, and most of the time I don't even notice it.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay, let me say one quick thing on Brad Pitt. The breaking news is that I just got a man. I can't. Let me find it here.
And of course, Brad Pitt followed me, and he said, "Good job." And I said, "Okay, well, thank you very much." And then he unfollowed me.
He promptly ignored you. Okay, from Karen Kohler, the link to Brad Pitt's profile that was mentioned in Bradley Horowitz's post announcing Brad Pitt's joining Google Plus is active again for her. As was mentioned, it's bounced back and forth recently. Last time I checked, it was page not found, but now the profile is active again. And so, welcome Brad Pitt. And I see he has 98
million.
03, 9,803. I have more followers than Brad Pitt for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that's the one. Energy efficient and affordable homes for families in New Orleans and beyond. And I wonder if it's actually him. He has no posts at all, but he has pictures of affordable homes. So I'll go ahead and circle them just to see what all the. And Brad, you're welcome to join us in our Hangout. Okay, so all right, cool, exciting.
You know, the funny thing is if you search Brad Pitt on Google Plus, the second thing in the list is this Hangout.
Oh, that's funny. As well, it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm often, I mean, you know, I get that a lot. You know, it's kind of embarrassing. People always confuse me for Brad Pitt. Just kidding. Okay. All right. Oleg, you wrote the you wrote this in here with some colorful language, rare for you.
What?
So the Twitter Brit people, apparently it's this young couple who like their beverages, and they're coming to America to party, and they said that they were, I forget the first thing, but the second one, we're going to destroy America, which having lived in London, destroy means like get wasted. So they were going to go get drunk in America and spend lots of money. Mm-hmm. So they were detained for hours and questioned and then sent back home over this. What are your thoughts on this? This is another great decision by the TSA, right?
I think that, you know, all the jokes and Jay Leno material aside that we just heard, you know, if you look at it from a standpoint of the aftermath of 9/11, when people had all kinds of accounts of possibilities of bad things happening, and people either chose to ignore it or didn't put the two and two together, when, you know, people were flying with a bunch of you know, without luggage, one-way tickets, things like that, and everybody just ignores it like, you know, it's nothing. And then we have the huge tragedy that happened. I think in that kind of post-world, you know, the 9/12 world, if you will, is the situation such that you use computers and you use, you know, it's impossible to just use human eyes like, you know, Jeffrey just pointed out about his followers, that there's just too many of them to be able to deal with it. It's the same thing with the people here that are coming and visiting the States all the time. You have to use automated methods to be able to try to get some intelligence on possible threats. And
well,
so,
that would be great, except in this case, they neither used automated methods nor intelligence. What happened in this case was that the airport received an anonymous tip from somebody who was following these people, apparently, and snitched on them.
Okay.
And the TSA went and interviewed them without having any clue why they were interviewing them. In the official report of the whole thing, the TSA shows an incredible ignorance of what Twitter is.
I'm not trying to defend TSA. I'm just saying the word "Destroy America," which, you know, was pointed out that was used. To me, it's enough to find out what's going on. And I realize this was nothing, and I realize in England people say that about something else. But I can understand people getting all excited all of a sudden, and I understand it turned out to be nothing, which is great. I'm glad it did.
But here's the thing. It didn't turn out to be nothing. They were denied entry, and they were sent back.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is a case where...
This is a case where you don't say stupid stuff like, oh, I'm going to start a fire in this crowded theater. It's not First Amendment deal. You cannot do some of these things.
Well,
okay, hold on. I've got the story now. Before we continue, let me reference exactly what they said. Be
careful so you don't get arrested, Dan.
What?
Be careful so you don't get arrested by saying it.
I had diplomatic immunity the whole time I was overseas, so I could have, shot 12 people and been fine. Okay, U.S. special agents monitoring Twitter. U.S. special agents, okay?
Everybody's a special agent.
Probably Foxconn employees. Monitoring Twitter spotted their messages. They said, we're totally in L.A., something people off on Hollywood Boulevard and digging Marilyn Monroe up. So they're like going to dig up Marilyn Monroe's grave. And then free this week for a quick gossip prep before I go and destroy America. So they were worried that they were going to destroy America. I agree we're in a post-9/11 situation. And that if someone...
Whoa, Dan, read the next graphic. Read the next graphic from the page you were just quoting. Come on.
During secondary examination, Mr. Bryan was placed under oath and his sworn statement was taken by CBP officer Wahman. Mr. Bryan confirmed that he had posted on his Twitter website account that he was coming to the United States.
His Twitter website.
His Twitter website. Yeah, I made fun of them for this. Stupid morons. On his Twitter website account that he was coming to the United States to dig up the grave of Marilyn Monroe, obviously a national security threat. And also on his Twitter account, Mr. Bryan posted that he was coming to destroy America. Obviously two idiot kids, and who cares? And once it was explained, and, Oleg, I mean, you can't be a complete apologist for any kind of outrage by the security people under the auspices that, well, we can't be too careful after 9/11.
As far as I'm concerned, yes, we cannot be too careful on the 9/11. That's my stand, yeah.
So Oleg, you're actually, let me just make sure I understand this correctly. You're saying that there should be no actual intelligence applied when we analyze intelligence.
No, I'm saying you do not use words like destroy America lightly. That's all I'm saying.
And that's fine, but at the same, I mean, it's two. There are two sides here.
Why there are two sides?
There are two sides because these people may have been idiots, but the Department of Homeland Security personnel who were interviewing them were equally idiots.
Potentially. So what? Nobody got hurt. They got delayed because they're dumb. They
didn't get delayed. They got sent back.
Okay. So they got sent back. So they got punished for being dumb. Okay. Next time, hopefully, they'll be a little smarter.
I agree.
And I don't know. I think this is ridiculous.
Why is it ridiculous?
It's ridiculous saying it's ridiculous because now we're saying that totally innocent statements can be taken totally out of context and a person can be punished.
How is this an innocent statement out of context?
That's been the way for many years. I mean, if you intercepted a letter saying that inside the letter it said that I'm going to do something in the United States, yeah, there's Secret Service that are watching that and they wouldn't let those people either in. So it's just making it easier for them to watch who they're going to block. Did they say something stupid? Yeah, they said something very stupid, and they got punished for it. Big deal.
Exactly. It's not that big of a deal, and
I think, but what they did was not that big of a deal.
Nothing happened from what they said. That's why it's not that big of a deal. But if something happened, it would have been a huge deal. Okay?
My guess is, I'm no big defender of the TSA guys, but they're not all morons. And my guess is that there's more to this story than meets the eye. And I think that they said that the Department of Homeland Security declined to comment, right? And this story is in The Sun, which is, a racy tabloid in the UK. So they're obviously from the UK perspective, and Homeland Security, for whatever reason, declined to comment. So we're getting one version of events. And I'm sure that we'll never know the full story unless at some point, it's not a consequential thing. It's just something to get you and Alan going at each other, which is always good for radio.
We're not going at each other. We're not going at each other at all. It's just
we're just having a big love fest, especially
it's by Alan. What I'm saying is that it's silly to do the Jay Leno, what's the other character? Whatever, the CBS guy.
Putin, is that who you're talking about, Putin?
No.
David Letterman?
David Letterman, yeah. It's silly. I actually didn't know his name, but anyway. It's silly to take and make a joke out of everything that can potentially have bad situation. That's what they do every day. Anything to them is a joke.
Yep.
You know, anything. I can bet you this deal with Iran that's going on right now is also going to be joked about. And I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that are
Nobody's
not jokes.
joking about that, and
Oh,
that's
not
not. I
jokes.
don't want to get into that because
I'll
that's
tell
not
you.
jokes.
I'll tell you something. If you go over to Germany and you tweet or you say or you Facebook or you whatever and you say 2 words, Heil Hitler, you are going to get in trouble. If you do the fist in the air, you're going to get in trouble. If you go to China and you say something, almost anything in Twitter, in Facebook, in China, you're going to get in trouble.
Well,
And so, you know, I don't give anybody sympathy for saying I'm going to go destroy America and then come to the United States and not, you know, even if they would have said I'm going to go destroy America and then
wait. Can I just hear you correctly?
Let me finish.
You just compared China favorably to us? Is that really what you meant to say?
No,
yes.
He has Apple.
No, that's what you just said.
Whatever.
He has Apple products. He has to give them.
I'm saying that if you go to any other country and you're saying I'm going to go destroy China, you will be met at the airport with officials saying get back on your plane, you're going home. That's the bottom line.
They'll probably cut your head off in Iran.
So you're saying that we're justified for doing the exact same thing that China or Iran would do? Okay, fine.
You know why they don't in China?
It's so minimal. Who cares?
I talked to a friend of mine in China the other day. The Twitter there is completely blocked. That's what they do in China. Okay.
How do you talk to your friend in China?
That's through Skype.
Are they going to get in trouble now that you've?
He's a Russian guy who is living in China, but he said Twitter is completely blocked. He can't get to Twitter. He cannot even use Twitter at all over there.
Man, you guys are everywhere. Just
Who
like
is
they
you guys?
said, we're going to destroy
I'm
you
an
from
American
within.
citizen.
We're going to destroy you. Yeah, whatever. Like that group they busted.
Wait. Are you sure that's not a cover
Even
over?
in IT. See, remember that group
I'm
they
100%
busted
positive.
a year or two ago? The Russians. Remember they said we're going to take it from within without firing a shot. Although Oleg is not conforming strictly to that policy.
No.
I just got a note here from Carlos Balderas. Dan, when I click on ignore, it gives you an option to block someone or not. I choose not to block unless I'm being harassed. Also, when you click on ignore, the notifications no longer show that this person added you to the circle.
Correct.
Other than that, clicking on ignore, unless you choose to block, is the same as just viewing the notifications without clicking on ignore.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not, are you ignoring the person or ignoring the notification?
Notification, but there's basically the person is not going to show up anywhere anyway because you didn't circle him.
Does the fact that we are power users by any definition and have been on here for months and months and months, and that we still are trying to figure out exactly what the hell this feature does that tell you something?
We're not trying to figure out what this feature does. We know what it does. We just talked about it.
No, I'm serious. Like when my mom said, explain Google Plus to me, and I was like, oh, and the White House press corps and all their wisdom, they said, what is Google Plus? And there was laughter, right? Like everyone's like, yeah, what the hell is it? I think that's a problem. Facebook is pretty intuitive compared to
come on.
Your settings.
Man, just stop this. Pretty intuitive. It's horrible in terms of intuitiveness. It's horrible. Absolutely
intuitiveness
horrible.
Again. I like it when you say it.
Okay. Intuitiveness.
Oh my God, I love.
They need to add, in addition to block, they need to add the punch feature.
The punch feature, so
exactly.
You can. That's even better than the reindeer thing they had.
But
all right. Go ahead.
Just to finish up on the ignore, the gentleman that you were rating is exactly right. The only thing you'll do if you do the ignore is you eliminate that person from your notifications, and that's what you want to do if you actually care about seeing all these people who are following you when you're not Jeffrey Powers who has millions of people following him. So you can't do it. But for normal people who are not that popular like myself, then those people, you get 10, 20, 30 a day. You just can go through them if you want to, and then you can get through the whole list by doing ignore. There's no other way to do it, basically, in notifications. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Speaking of Jeffrey, I want to ask him something here. We had this big mega upload thing happened, right? Totally not a Google Plus topic, but if you think about it, they arrested the lead team Kim.com, and it's an international incident, and they shut down all this stuff. There's the big issue. Clearly, there was copyright stuff on there.
You think?
And they arrested the team, and then they. But really, I've got a question here. As I said earlier in the show, how many? We see tons of copyrighted stuff on Google+. People posting the funny cat pictures or all these sorts of things. They'll just find a funny picture on Facebook or whatever, right-click, save as, download, upload it to Google+, and then they get 55 shares, and it's in our stream. So what is the difference, technically, what is the difference between that and what Mega Upload was doing? What's the difference between an email provider like Yahoo Email or Gmail, which probably hosts tons and tons and tons of copyrighted content? I would guess that Gmail hosts maybe 1,000,000 times the number of copyrighted items that Mega Upload ever did, if not more. What's the difference between the two? I'm trying to figure
they
this
probably
out.
made money. I mean, the guy was pretty rich, so they probably made money.
Here's the deal. I've been looking. I had to play catch up on this because of all the CES action that I've been going through. But everything that I've looked through makes me think that there is something that they are not telling us.
Mm-hmm.
There is something that is more to the point, because they're not going to. Yeah, the one thing that people have been bouncing back on Mega Uploads was the fact that they were getting all these cease and desist takedown notice type things, and their big thing was they were ignoring or they weren't responding to them in time. And a lot of people were saying, well, that's just that they weren't responding to them in time. But everything that I've seen on this Mega Uploads takedown feels like there was something else that happened that we're not privy to, and we're not going to be privy to. And Mega Upload, because there was, how many people sat there and go, well, it's not right that they just decided to take these people down, and it's not right that this is down. But the reality is, it hasn't come back up. The guys in Mega Uploads have been denied bail because they're felt to be a flight risk to getting out of the country. So I just don't see this as the what we've been told is the reason why. And there's a lot more. I mean, they've talked about laundering that Mega Upload did. So I think that there was something else that was put into this whole thing that just said, okay, this is the thing. This is the reason why we're taking them down, and go from there. So we don't know the real reason why Mega Upload went down. It's just down.
Thoughts from anybody else?
I totally agree. I think it's exactly probably what it is, and we won't know. And you're right, Dan. There's tons of copyrighted equipment. I mean, information anywhere else. And I totally agree with Jeffrey. I think it's exactly what it is. They cannot announce what it is, but you don't just go out and take these guys down for no reason. And they probably have some extremely good reasons for doing so, and that's what they're doing.
Also, my email analogy isn't that far stretched, because
no,
they didn't have a central list. You couldn't go to megaupload.com and search for something and find it. They just hosted. You had to look on another site that would link you to it. And then David, you said that I guess they were paying. Explain how that worked. They were paying people who uploaded stuff. Was it cash or rewards, or how did that work?
Honestly, I just glossed over this article, but I can tell you that they had a scheme where people, you're right, you would upload something, and then you would have to share the link before anybody else could get that file. So that way you could say, well, I'm only giving that to my friends, and that's fair use or something. But they had a system where if you uploaded maybe a popular movie or popular torrent, a popular whereas or something, copyright infringing material, you upload it and then go to a forum where people share these links, and yours is a real popular link, a lot of people download it. That means a lot of people saw the Mega Upload ads, and the Mega Upload would, I guess, have a sort of commission system that they offered to, the more hits you bring in with your uploads, the more money we'll pay you. And that's, I think, what got the government involved was the fact that they're basically paying people to infringe copyright, if that's how the system worked.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting test, and I think if they end up deleting all this stuff, then and they get off, I think if they end up deleting all the legitimate content on there, and the head guys, end up getting off on the charges, I think that's going to be a hell of a international class action lawsuit, if there is such a thing. That'll be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Let's look at it this way. If let's say you are a person that gets on a plane that has a terrorist involved, and there's a terrorist attack using that plane. When they take that terrorist off the plane, anything that's on that plane is pretty much the government's. If you had a computer on there, it's the government's. If you had clothing on there, it's the government's. They are not going to take anything off that plane until they know absolutely for sure that there isn't another threat or anything like that. So if you get on, if that happens in any other situation, then whatever your belongings, even your personal, your data, your life gets scrutinized. So yeah, there's going to be tons of data that's just going to disappear, and anybody that hasn't backed that up, I feel sorry for them, but I have no sympathy, because we're in an age where we say you back up your data in multiple spots. You back up off-site, which is why they have put it up on mega uploads. So it in a way, I feel, like I said, I feel sorry for them, but I don't pity them too much. They should have had some sort of backup there, because there's just no way they're going to get that stuff back.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a fly-by-night idea, like a sort of like a nip joint in a big city, where an after-hours illegal bar that may last for years and years, but finally gets busted, and they all knew, the end was going to come. Go ahead, David.
Well, I last read that there was I think some kind of court motion that people were trying to bring to. The reason why the data was going to get lost was because the Mega Uploads, the company, their funds have been frozen, and they can't pay the hosting provider. And the hosting provider, everything was in one server location, and with one company. So all they have to do is pay the bill, and people's data won't get lost. And there was I don't know if there's, it's still going through the courts, I think, but
the latest. Let me update you, David. The latest is the company, which is real close to me. I think it's in Herndon, which is about an hour or less from me. They said that there's no imminent danger, and that if they do delete anything, that people will get notice. But they said they have no access to the data. They said they're hosting it, but they're just hosting raw files. I don't think they know how the interface works or whatever. It's just a hard drive to them, and they don't really have access or passwords to get to anything. So I'm gonna
key in on something, and this comes straight from Mega Upload's site. If you go up to megaupload.com right now, you get the seized warning, and basically it tells you why they seized it. They seized it for conspiracy to commit racketeering, conspiracy to commit copyright infringement, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and criminal copyright infringement. That's 4 things plus a whole bunch of other stuff. Those disks are going to be closed to the public, even if they stay around till the end of time. That information is going to be closed to the public till every one of those charges have been tried and found guilty or innocent.
Well,
and once all those trials are done, then you'll get a chance to get to your data, but not until then.
Actually, the reports that I had understood were that the FBI, who was in possession of them, were in control of them, were basically saying to the hosting provider that they were free to destroy the data. They were free to reformat the disk, reclaim the space, and so forth.
Yeah, they said that
So
the
it
search
sounds like
warrants
they've
had been
collected their
executed.
evidence. It sounds
Yeah.
like they've collected their evidence. They've taken it off the disk. They've secured it in what they believe to be a fashion that can be held up in court, and now they're not interested in anything else. And at that point, they're cutting it loose.
Yeah, what they're saying in essence is, you users opted to store your data on, an obviously criminal enterprise, according to the FBI or the Justice Department.
Whoa. Okay.
And so your penalty is you're going to lose your data, and you shouldn't have, stored it there. Priz?
No, I mean you.
I mean,
This brings.
I mean, that's the.
Is my mic working again? There we go. Okay. You started saying something, and you justified yourself. The point is, according to the FBI, it turns into, well, how am I as a casual, non-technical user supposed to know that they're illegitimate?
Well, come on, let's get real. I mean, no non-technical user is going to know what Mega Upload is. They were known, like when you went looking for
Dan,
a TV show that wasn't on Hulu, you could do a Google search, although Google results are tightened now, and you don't see as much of that stuff. If you're looking for the West Wing episode or something that's not available anywhere online, you have to get the physical DVD or the 8-track or whatever, then you could find it on Mega Upload on some Chinese, some Y17 or what's that Chinese site?
Dan, but here's the thing. Mega Upload also presented a legitimate service to clients. There are people who actually...
And Hitler made the trains run on time. Come on.
Dan, there are people who legitimately paid money to be able to store stuff on Mega Upload.
Yeah, I'm being flippant, but I mean, okay.
Well, let's look at it this way. Go up to the wiki page, and it's going to tell you everything. It started on March 21st of 2005. 6 years that this website's been up. It's megaupload.com, megavideo.com, megapix.com, megalive.com, megabox.com. There's their net income was over 175 million. They had 155 employees. So you tell me, does that look like a reputable website? Just from everything that I said there?
Yeah,
no
question, yeah.
I mean, it was too good to be true, and like I said, it was a nip joint in a seedy section of Baltimore with a nice name and fancy logo, but a nip joint nonetheless. And
there are these companies, that sounds a lot like Google, too.
I'm not at all convinced that they're going to win in court. I mean, that the government will win this in court.
If we're talking about racketeering and stuff, I think it smells like they will win in court. They will lose in it. I mean, because we're not just talking about intellectual property here.
Well, but, the government throws everything. I mean, I don't know if you noticed all the WMDs in Iraq. I mean, just because the government says it's so, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily accurate.
I've been curious on this Mega Upload topic regarding we were talking about the data that they have, and honestly, the kind of stuff that people probably, you're saying that megaupload.com was a CD site, and people were using it for, to circumvent copyright. I think copyright is what they're going for right now because that's where the money is right now. But potentially, if the government or the FBI was seriously looking at stopping some crime, they would have a field day with as much information they could go through there. I'm talking about some things worse than just copyright. Things like child pornography or, who knows what they might be able to go through. I mean...
Yeah, there are all sorts of things.
But stuff like that is supposed to be protected. I mean, as a content provider such as YouTube or Twitter or Google+, if somebody turns around and publishes child pornography, you are not supposed to, as the third-party site, be responsible for what they post. And in fact, you make a big old end-user license agreement saying if you post child pornography, you're going to get in trouble, and we're not going to get in trouble because that's the way that it's all set.
But if they're paying people to circumvent copyright and they were not taking down DMCA, the notices and all that, then how do we know? Like, it sounds to me like they had 155 people. They had millions and millions of people uploading files all the time. There's no way those 155 people were on top of every,
Sure.
case somebody's uploading something wrong.
Look, here's the deal. Clearly, there was the DMCA rule that says you have to act on complaint, and that you're protected as long as you act on complaint. You can allow people. The whole premise of a free internet, where people can, you can set up a website that allows users to post content of any kind, and you can, if someone complains that there's a copyright violation, if you act on it in a reasonable time, that's what the DMCA set up. Because otherwise, you couldn't have a YouTube. But for the DMCA act on complaint provision, you could not have a YouTube or a Facebook or a MySpace or a Twitter or anything like that, because if they had to pre-approve everything and screen everything, then it wouldn't be cost-effective to offer a free service based on the minuscule amount you get per user from ads. So that's the thing. But there's a big difference between a site like Mega Uploads, where they apparently have like email correspondence between the users. I mean, you can, I made my analogy to Gmail and Yahoo Mail, but it's not like there are emails between Sergey and Larry saying, ha ha, look at all the money we're making from all this illegally copyrighted uploaded stuff, right?
Dan, you're kidding, right?
No, I'm not kidding. What are you talking about?
That's exactly the email that happened about YouTube.
But that wasn't Sergey and Larry. That was the email from YouTube, and that's done, right? That case is done.
That case is done. YouTube's been legitimized.
Yeah, but it also turns out that was it Vivendi or Universal? Who was it that sued?
Yeah, Vivendi and Universal were acting stupid there too.
Yeah, because they were uploading their own stuff, and they
found
out that YouTube was responding with to the pull-down notices quicker than they were even obligated to.
Sure, but that's a side issue from the fact that the original email was talking about how they were going to make money by supporting piracy.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this.
Let me ask you something, Dan. How would you judge the legitimacy of a site? If I quoted you some sales material, do you think you could tell me if they're legitimate or not?
I mean, that's obviously a setup question.
Okay,
you're trying to get me to answer a certain way and
listen to this.
Score a point.
We're a free service that lets you bring all your photos, docs, and videos anywhere. Any file that you save with us will automatically save to all your computers, phones, and our website. We make it super easy to share with others, whether you're a student or a professional, parent or grandparent. Even if you accidentally spill a latte on your laptop, have no fear. You can relax knowing that we always have you covered and none of your stuff will ever be lost. Legitimate site or not.
That could be either way. That could be Mega Uploads. That could be Flickr. That could be Google+. That could be, what is it, Picnic or whatever.
Exactly. So here's the question. How do you know just based on reading that if they're legitimate or not?
You don't. You don't.
I don't know. I'm just thinking that it's a shame that Mega Uploads didn't donate to Obama like Google did. That it wouldn't be in this problem, correct?
Not necessarily.
We have no idea if they donated or not.
The bottom line is there's a hell of a lot more copyrighted content stored on Yahoo Mail servers, Hotmail servers, Gmail servers than Mega Upload servers. But they're picking on this colorful character to make some kind of point. The one good thing about this is that it shows that we don't need a ridiculous backroom deal like SOPA, because it shows that existing laws work. And I'm thinking that if these guys have a smart lawyer, and I'm guessing they do, that we'll see what happens. Because
for the record,
Johnny Cochran is dead.
For the record, the quote
law firm lives on if you watch daytime television, Jeffrey.
For the record, the quote that I just used was from Dropbox's sales material. So it's Dropbox.
TechCrunch's startup of the year, and maybe now drawing the ire of our U.S. Attorney General when he's not running guns into Mexico.
That brings a really good question, because I know one person that actually did this. Did you cancel your Send-It, your Dropbox, and all your other little cloud devices because of Mega Uploads?
I did not. Should we have? Do I need to worry about it?
That's
Dropbox doesn't pay me if I share a popular copyrighted movie. Dropbox doesn't pay me for that. That's why That's why they're not going to shut down Dropbox. Like, people are totally missing the point.
David, we're going to have to delete all of our links to any site that, I don't know. I mean, let me Google right now. Let me go into Google, and let me do a search for site:megauploads.com.
Anyway, well, Dan is looking for this thing, even though we beat it up to death already.
Yeah, we need to move on. Go ahead, Oleg. Last thoughts on this.
If everybody's not thoughts on this. If anybody noticed, I noticed that when I send email and I get email from people, then in suggestions on the right side in my stream, it actually shows me those people and either allows me to add them to circles or add an invite. And I don't know when they implemented it, but I just recently noticed it, which is kind of handy. So you start interacting with people, and Gmail, I saw it. It automatically shows you the person who is sending you email if they have a Google profile, and you can easily add them to circles. But as suggestions, I haven't seen it. So they specifically bring up suggestions, being people who you recently communicated with via email. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I see 11.3 million results to megaupload.com in a Google search. If I type site:megaupload.com, I see 11 million results in Google. And then if I show search tools and I say a custom range or past year, I get 704,000. If I skip to page 10, I see all these different things. I'm wondering what the difference is between Google hosting this and that kid that Michael Mozart was talking about. That's the whole thing. As they crack down on these specific colorful figures that are easy targets, the low-hanging fruit, it's going to bring up larger issues about the whole DMCA thing. It's a very complicated mess. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. And I'm not at all convinced that there's not blatant hypocrisy. And then there was this thing today. I posted the English translation of the Slovenia ambassador to Japan who signed ACTA. And I don't know much about ACTA, so I'm no expert at all. But she signed it, and then a few days later apologized and said, I apologize to my children. And she... it's just, this is complicated, and we've got a bunch of politicians who are apparently completely clueless about how this stuff works, and they're making these decisions, and then the internet community reacts to it, and then, here we go. I don't know. I think this is it's a revelatory time, I guess, for us. Okay, 2 more topics here. I'm skipping a couple topics because Bruce couldn't stick with us, and Jason's, I guess he's going to come with us next week because we had a little thing. But with a time change in Guam, and I'm very jealous because it's 85 degrees, nice in Guam, and it's about 40 over here. But I saw an article somewhere about Facebook, and what they were saying was that Facebook is the premise of the article was they're clamping down.
Hey, Dan, did you hear that Facebook is going to be IPOing?
That's the small news.
I heard some rumor about that. I don't know if it's any actual.
It's a farce.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know that your buddy Zuckerberg, actually it's more Oleg's buddy. They're good buddies. But he owns 57% of it, and there was some stink about that. But he clearly, he's a ruthless businessman like Steve Jobs. And but he's singularly focused. He's in it for the long haul. He's not one of these guys who's trying to flip a startup. So good for him in that respect. And despite all of the disregard for his users and their privacy rights. But anyway, Facebook advertising, it used to be you could put up a page on Facebook and you could send messages and people would see you and stuff. And now they've redesigned the site. And if you go there, and I go there every day or so, and it's like I have 99 notifications here, and then the thing on the right is flipping up like a movie film or something, and I don't see anything. unless someone mentions me or sends a direct message to me or something like that, I will not know that they did anything. And now I'm wondering if the whole point of that was to force all the businesses that had put up a page for free, if the whole point of that was to get them to now buy ads to make their generic posts ineffective, by clouding everyone's stream, by making so much noise on Facebook. I'm wondering if that's the secret point to all the changes he's done. If the whole point is to make it impossible to get anything through there, and the only way to get through the cloud of noise is to buy a sponsored story or an ad or something to monetize it, because now that he's doing his billion valuation, he's going to have to start producing some results. Is that a crazy notion? What do you guys think?
No, what the guy's trying to do is very simple. He's trying to get as much money as he can, and then make it so horrible that everybody will just have to move to Google Plus, and he doesn't have to worry about anything.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, Oleg.
And actually,
Anybody else have any thoughts on?
Jokes aside, there was an excellent article today in Tech Republic publication. I got a post on it from this Jason Heiner fellow, and a lot of times I disagree with the guy, but in this one he was right on. And he's saying that the whole deal, that basically Facebook, as many users as they have, and the actual headline says, let's be honest, Facebook is a badly overpriced photo sharing and gaming site. And he says the takeaway, and it says Facebook is about to launch one of the biggest tech IPOs ever. Don't be fooled. Read 10 reasons why Facebook's future is highly uncertain. And so I think that if you read the article, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but basically he makes good points about there's many reasons why Facebook's future with a billion users or so is not certain at all. And so it's hard to figure out. I mean, what he's doing, Dan, is hard to explain, just like many other things they've done that were hard to explain, because it's almost like kids are putting out stuff without any regard for usability, engineering and all this stuff. And one would question, okay, if they're so horrible, why are they so popular? And I can't answer that because people are dumb, I guess.
I think you bring up a good point, Oleg, about how they're just a bunch of kids putting out stuff. If you look at how the inside of Facebook works, if you ever how their development process works, it's very different from most company, typical things, and that gave them a tremendous advantage in the beginning because they're able to come up with things very quickly and be very competitive. But now that things are going to transition into what's going to work for the long haul and give profit year over year, continuous growth, that's where they're going to run into some serious problems with their current development strategy. I don't think that a bunch of really smart programmers can get in there and actually do the same sort of things that a company like Google is able to do.
Right.
Totally different culture, totally different values that the company is built on. It's just no comparison.
Right. No, without any question. It's just like I said, the thing that baffles me is what attracted so many people. I mean, I used Facebook for a little bit, and I didn't like it at all from the beginning, and I only used it because a bunch of people were on it. And as soon as Google Plus came out, I closed my account and never want to see them again. But it's just me.
Is that real, or is that something you say on Google Plus and on Facebook you trash the Google people?
Find me on Facebook. You're on Facebook. Find me on Facebook.
I'll do a search. Someone please set up a fake profile for Oleg and use Alan's shower pic as the profile pic. But now, everything that they do now on Facebook, as I watch this guy, who's clearly smart, and I'm going to watch, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to stop and think, okay, every time I hear about some controversial move that Facebook does, I'm going to stop and think, okay, how does this make it harder to advertise for free on Facebook and make it more attractive to pay them to advertise on it? That's the prism that I'm going to view every change that they have now, because it's got me thinking about their moves. I'm not sure how the timeline impacts that, but the whole stream with a billion things. I mean, every time someone I'm going to go pee now, or I'm going to feed my cat. All that stuff is all weighted together with everything else, and the thing on the right is just going crazy. And then every time you log in there, there's 99 plus notifications, and it's like I don't have the time. I have to evaluate my time resources here.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
thinking
taking
that's
away
what
from
it's
Google
about.
Plus. I can't have that.
Exactly. We'll get no sympathy from Linda Laurie, who probably has 99,000 notifications every time she returns to her computer, and she's hopefully going to join us shortly. And last thing here, before we get to just like what's going on and hanging out with everybody, Barnes & Noble versus Amazon. This is totally a non-Google Plus topic, as half the show's been. It's been kind of a slow news week. But this was interesting. Barnes & Noble announced that they would no longer stock their Amazon-published books in their physical stores, but they're still going to stock them in their bn.com online marketplace. And I wrote a story for Huffington Post that said that basically it's crocodile tears, that it's nonsense, because they still have a relationship with Amazon. They still sell the Kindle there, or the excuse me, the Nook on Amazon, and they're still going to stock the Amazon titles on their website, right? But I think this is just this ongoing tiff. And it does seem that, as I've said before, that Barnes & Noble and all these bookstores are basically showrooms for Amazon. You go in, you look, and it's like $30, and then on Amazon it's $21. And so you discover some new author, and like, oh, that's great. And then you go home, or you order it right on your phone. So what do you guys think? Is there anything to this, or is this just
Well, I think your
PR
last point.
stunt? What do you think?
Your last point's actually an interesting one that all of these companies are trying to deal with right now. I mean, Target, within the past couple of weeks, has been caught going to manufacturers and saying, hey, why don't you create these Target-specific products that you're not going to sell on Amazon that we can sell for you at a higher price, so that people can't just use us as a showroom and go to Amazon. Internal documentation has come out showing this. So it's a real problem, and retailers really don't know what they're going to do about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely the case, and that's like, I remember when Sears, when the Atari 2600 came out, and Sears had their own version. What was it? I forget what they called it, but instead of the Atari 2600, it said Sears or whatever. And for Christmas, I wanted the original Atari one, but it was the same thing. Oleg's much too young to remember the Atari 2600.
Actually, we got here shortly. No, I do. Are you kidding? It's like near and dear because it was designed by the same guy who did the Amiga computers. So that's why I know the platform really well. But they came out before me. I didn't know about the Sears deal. That was after we came here. No, it's the Ataris came out about 76, the 2600.
In the U.S., I think it came out in a couple of years ago in your neck of the woods, right?
No, I don't think it ever came out in my neck. In the old neck of the woods. No, but seriously, did it come out with 76, 77? What year?
I don't remember. I think that was like 76, 77 would have been Pong.
1975, they released Home Pong.
Yeah, and then Atari
it wasn't until October 1977 that they released the Atari VCS, the Video Computer System, which later was renamed into the 2600 when they released the Atari 5200.
Right.
In
yeah,
what
that
year?
was I was already okay. Yeah. So see, I got here in '78, early '78. So that's why I missed that first part.
Okay, you get that off my site, right? DaneTechHistory.com, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So let me. All right. Let me. Any final thoughts here, Oleg? Let's go all the way down the line here. Oleg, any exciting things to talk about other than your announcements on this wonderful Google Plus week?
No, just they basically talked about all the options and stuff, and just moving forward, I guess. And yeah, I don't have anything past that.
A rare moment of silence from Oleg. David, any thoughts? Any final words of wisdom to impart to our audience?
Oh, well, I do want to tell you guys that the car club that I'm a former president of, the Fort Worth Z-Car Club, is going to host their next meeting coming up on the 9th. We're going to do it on Google+. And just so you guys, background information, we're car club devoted to the Nissan Z-Car. And we've had meetings, typically the second Thursday of every month for 10 years now. But this will be our first Google Plus meeting, and I'm going to try that out. And
Who's pushing for that? You are?
What's that?
Are you pushing for this?
I'm going to set it up. I'm the officer of the club, and
and so you're not. They took you down as a president, and you're giving him this gold.
No, I was president for 2 years, and then I gave it up and said I'd be secretary.
Good.
And, so
you Russian guys always hone in on the power circle.
No, it'd be actually cool. So what's the? It'd be interesting to see.
If you guys want to hang out, it's going to be testing it out. But what I want to do is have it so that members that can't come to the meeting but are still paid members can participate. And but this will be the first time, so I don't expect that there may be a whole lot of our own members joining. It'll broadcast it, and then people can watch it later. But if there's I appreciate anybody want to help test it out or whatever, or just watch and make sure everything works okay. But because I'm going to be doing it on location somewhere, I have to take my whole rig with me and try to set up this broadcast for our meeting. But
very cool.
Yeah, so it'll be hopefully exciting.
Any final thoughts, Alan?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that here in New York, people are hurling all over Google+, and we'll, I'm sure, be finding out all sorts of exciting stories next week.
Please explain the acronym HURL.
I wish I could. No, really, it's HIRL, Hangout in Real Life. It is an absolutely horrible name, an absolutely horrible phrase. I
think it's funny.
It is funny.
It is
I
funny.
think it's hysterical. I can joke about it all the time. But it's horrible.
Regrettable pun notwithstanding.
That's why Alan doesn't join these people, so you don't say Alan is hurling.
Actually, I am going to be joining them tomorrow during the New York City Hurl Photo Walk.
You are?
Where 100 of us will attempt to not get arrested while walking through
Will you be
Lower
wearing
Manhattan.
your shower suit?
I will not be wearing my shower suit. It's a little too cold for that.
Oh. Not in
Well, his
Guam.
photos will be
We'll
blurred,
find out
though.
next week. We'll ask Jason if he could wear that in Guam and not get arrested. Jeffrey Powers from oh my God, Tech.
I'm not saying.
Something Geekazine, right? Geekazine?
Yes.
Geekazine and other things. Just Google Jeffrey Powers, Jeffrey Powers, or just follow the link.
Actually, no. Why don't we do this? Why don't you put the URL of like this the Z-Car deal and Jeffrey stuff?
No,
post.
It's Geekazine. Think magazine, take out the mag, put in a geek. You got Geekazine. Got also the Day in Tech History over at dayintechhistory.com. Of course, you can search on that in Google, and they'll just pop up right there.
No,
Twitter is Geekazine.
Any final thoughts, Jeffrey? Because it really was it was an eventful week, right?
It was
for geeks. It was kind of a boring week for the general public as far as tech stuff, but for us, it was kind of a complicated, important week.
It was definitely a very eventful week. It's actually been an eventful last 4 weeks with a whole bunch of stuff that's been happening. But from Monday, when Google really got its share due with the presidential thing, all the way to today, there's a lot more happening next week. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for being in the show tonight. I appreciate it. And I'm opening. I think I've opened it up. I'll do it again. I'm going to open up the Hangout. We'll keep it going on Justin for anyone who wants to participate, and let you join us. But thanks so much for watching the official recorded version of Google Plus Week. We'll see you next Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. GMT, 11 a.m. Saturday in Guam. Y'all have a great night. Thanks. and I didn't click the button right. So we'll try it. Take two. Thanks.
There we go. Ringo.
All right, there
Let's
we
get
go.
Ringo on the show.
There we go.
He
Let's
just
take
put out
that,
a new.
right.
He just put out a new album. We should get Ringo on the show.
The
Ringo?
real question is, did you click the button right to start the show?
I don't know. I got to pee really bad. I'll tell you that.
There's a surprise.
I gotta get going. So thanks a lot,
Jeffrey,
guys.
great.
Good
Thanks
to
so
see
much
you,
for
Jeffrey.
being here.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Good to meet you. Take care.
That was awesome. He's a good guy, real smart guy. He has a lot to offer.
And obviously you don't right now because you need to go, quote unquote.
I got to pee bad, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I got to start my YouTube upload.
Let's see what happens. when
I'm
you get
torn
old.
between peeing and my YouTube upload. I don't know what to do.
Oh, decisions.
You know? Maybe I'll just pee in the shower like Alan did on Google Plus.
Excuse me, I do not.
No,
Another reason Alan should not get Hangouts on air.
Exactly. I ask simple questions like, "Where is the right hand?" If you look at the picture, where now never replied.
I have a friend. I have my first studio audience here.
Who do you have?
Just a friend over there. She's doing her homework.
No.
I don't know if she's shy. She's welcome to come over, but she may be shy.
I'm not shy. I'm busy.
Well, come over here and say hi.
What?
Come over here and say hi to these folks.
Trying to learn about murder and everything.
She's trying to learn about murder. Oleg can help you. He's Russian.
Yeah. Yeah, I can help with that.
Don't call me Russian guy. I live in America 30 years.
34, almost.
34 years. This is
that's a
Ashley.
good picture.
So,
Hello.
this is Ashley. This is
Hello.
Alan and David and Oleg. This is buddy Ashley here.
Yep, that's me.
All right, let's upload this sucker here.
I'm not. I'm in the middle of a lecture.
Are you listening to a lecture?
Yeah.
I just listened to a 2-hour lecture from Oleg and Alan.
You did not.
Aren't you? Lucky. Okay, I'm going to go see if I can find my kids so we can watch Star Wars tonight.
Oh my God, this thing was 1.2 gigs?
Yeah, because you kept talking and talking and talking. And then you got Alan's picture. Of course it's going to be, you know.
Just like we always do.
That was a dig just then.
What?
I was kidding.
We weren't kidding.
Oh, like you're not going to watch Star Wars on Google Plus Hangout?
No. I sit with the kid and we do that way. So, you have a good weekend, everybody.
You too, Oleg. Take care.
Take care.
Bye, Oleg.
Bye.
See you, Oleg. Take care, buddy. Thanks. You two chat amongst yourselves.
Right.
David, what's going on, man?
Man, I've been busy. What is it? Busy with work, and then also the Z-car thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
I got taking my video set up and making it mobile. So I've got an Anvil case and put the whole setup in there, put it on wheels. So I should be able to take this thing anywhere where I got a Wi-Fi signal and put on a show, you know, not too dissimilar from the type setup you're running. So
Cool.
I'm excited about it. I've never done anything with this kind of video kind of equipment, so I'm learning it as I'm doing it.
Was this episode 28, right?
Thought it was 29. Hang on. Let's see.
I think it's 28.
Maybe it's 28. Just stop numbering them.
Yeah, it's 28.
I need to make a brand page for the Z Club. I started on the other day, but I gotta find their logo. So I can put it back on there.
This is a huge file. I wonder why it's so big.
What is it normally? What size?
This is, my God, huge.
I mean, what
It's
size?
1.2 gigs. Normally, this one's 1.2 gigs. Normally, let's see, last week it was 800 gigs. But it was an hour and a half last week. This week it was an hour and 45. I guess it's not dramatically different.
It's only an hour 45. I would have said we were pushing 2 hours at this point at least.
Well, it was,
But I don't know when
remember I chopped the beginning
Yeah.
when
I
we,
forgot
when we
that
had
you-
the crash. But it says only 13 minutes remaining, so this internet's pretty darn fast. This
Wow.
send 1.2 gigs that quick.
Maybe you're close to internet backbone. Like you said, you're close to that other data center.
No, it's because I pay a fortune to Comcast for mid-grade business class internet or whatever you call it.
I could use a
Alright.
connection like that.
Yeah, I got 30 down, 10 up. Or I think
That's
it's
pretty
10
good.
up. Is it 10 up?
Weren't you running? You were doing speed tests yesterday, weren't you? On
Yeah,
your,
somebody beat me, right?
on your 6-hour hangout. I don't know. I didn't watch that then.
6.5 hours. You didn't? I thought you were going to transcribe it for me.
Good Lord, no. We get immigrants to do that, like Oleg. I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, you're in trouble.
I so shouldn't have said that.
You are Steve Jobs. All right, select a category. Science, technology, news. I don't know. Now it says 34 minutes. Before it said 13 minutes.
We're going to get a countdown?
All right, now let me open it in Vegas. Make the audio version.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to go and get starting on dinner here, but it was a good hangout.
What are you
Yep.
making for dinner?
I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna cook something or go get something. So I haven't been in the grocery store, so I think it's steak.
Where are you, and what time zone is it?
Oh, it's Central Time, so it's about 9:22 right now. I can still go.
And you're just beginning to think about dinner at 9?
Well, yeah, I get off work at 7, and then so if I want to do the hangout, I gotta go straight from work and just hop into the hangout, and then been here the whole time. Now I gotta go and figure out some food.
Don't get in trouble if you were slamming brews during the show. You better order Domino's or some other
Oh
cardboard
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. No, that's just one beer, but
Yeah.
no drinking and driving. I may end up ordering pizza. Who knows? But Honestly, I'm
armor.
lazy. Once I get home, I won't go back out. I'll probably
Alright.
just try to find something to cook in the house.
That'll work. That's cool.
Yeah.
All
But
right, well, have a
anyway,
good one. Good to see you again.
yep. Likewise.
All right, Alan, I guess we should close it out, right?
Yep, I suppose so. I will. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be on next week, or if I do, how late I'll be on, or
What's
if
up
I'm
next
on.
week?
Next week I'm. Next week I will be traveling, and probably around 8:30 or so I'm going to be on a ferry boat. So, and I know they have Wi-Fi, so I don't know if I'll be able to be on from then or if I'll be on after I get off.
A ferry boat?
Yep.
Like, how long is a ferry boat trip?
That particular ferry boat is a 45-minute ride.
It's kind of a downer.
Yeah, well, it has its ups and downs.
Another regrettable pun.
No, if I was talking about an airline flight, then it would be ups and downs.
Yeah, especially if you're in the back of the plane. All right, well, good to have you as always. It was fun.
Yep.
All right.
You
Have a good
weekend.
night.
You too.
All right, take care.
Yep. Thanks.
All right, thanks for already watching. I'm ending the YouTube broadcast. So cheers. All that good stuff.